Good morning, everyone. Welcome to New York Buddhist Church. Today is June 15th. My name is Eiko Nisha. I'm gonna be your chairperson today. Please turn off your cell phone, and we're gonna start with quiet sitting.
Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu.
We're gonna do sutra chanting. Jusei page 54.
即小悪道つらつ全注文こそ上魔といよろじぽ西が集中期天候不言一週解放像法世不特法上大衆聖母子子苦よ一切具足種特本元年質上満特異三害用両仏無下地つらずみ不詳願学へり投資最小尊志願役化大聖の感動国書天人東口よ
Please stand if you're able. We will do Vandharana and Tisarana on page 7, led by Reverend Ka Kyosei Rai.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Saranam saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kiye Butsu. Namo Kiye Butsu. Namo Kiye O. Namo Kiye O. Namo Kiye So. Namo Kiye So. Nam Das.
Please be seated. We will do reading the Creed 2 on page 4. Casting off the self-power mind of the varied practices and disciplines, we entrust ourselves single-minded to Amida Tathagata to save us in regard to one great matter of birth. With one moment of entrusting, we know that we are saved and that our birth is settled. After this, we say the name in joy and gratitude, repaying the Buddha's graciousness. We acknowledge gratefully that we are able to hear and understand this teaching because of the purpose of our Master having appeared in the world and of the successors in transmission, the good teachers whose words were not shallow. Beyond this, we will observe established rules of conduct throughout our lives. We will have a Dhamma message delivered by Reverend Kat Kyoserai.
Whether it's in human form or other types of forms. I am the father of cats, so I consider it first day, but I was very disappointed there was no gift for this morning. So it is a beautiful day outside. It's a very busy weekend. Glad that you're able to. Week I was not here. I was attending our national board meeting. For those that might not be familiar with it, our Buddhist church work is part of the Buddhist churches of America. And our headquarters is in Berkeley, California. We have a meeting twice a year for the national board, And then we also have a national council meeting in February. And it's very important. I became a minister because I like the Buddhist teachings, but we do have all of these physical things need to maintain, keep the organization going. We have people that need to worry about the bylaws, people that worry about the foundation, fundraising, etc. So it's a time for us to get together. But me personally, I've been part of the BCA since the early 90s, and I've made many over the years. And I get to go to California. I get to see what I call my Dharma buddies. And we had a very productive meeting. We talked a lot about the future of what the organization looks like. But for me, we sat down, and then when we would have coffee or breaks in between, we would talk about the Dharma or Buddhist teachings and how it's impressed our life. When I was at friends, there's people that are probably in their 80s and whole adult life dedicated to teaching of Buddhism and Jodo Shinju by attending these meetings and participating in their local church or temples. And it's very inspiring. One of the things that we talked about is that in the discussion, because it broke down into smaller groups, is that we had the discussion whether Buddhism was a spiritual tradition, a religion, or is it a philosophy? I think a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about this because our English language, some of our words can be very weighty. So when we talk about religion, people sometimes think of like, oh, the Vatican, or an old mosque, or when for us we might think of an old temple in Japan. Am I part of that? Or people will say, I'm not religious, just but spiritual. And so then that line kind of gets muted again. And then the people say, well, it's a philosophy. You take the Buddhist teachings, you try to understand them, and then you live your life through them. So one of the things that for me personally, I feel that we think about the Buddhist teachings, we have to remember that the word Buddhism is a European construct, a European concept. And the English language we like to make is Confucianism, Buddhism, Taoism. But most of the languages, countries that practice teachings, it's called the teachings of the Buddha. It's not this monolithic thing. It's the teachings. So when we talk about referencing the, we're not looking to the Buddha as inspiration of God, but what teachings that the Buddha set forth all the 2,600 years ago in what is now India. And I think for me personally, when we talk about the philosophy, I think for any type of spirit tradition, you try to follow the key concepts and that it is expressed in your daily actions. So, the idea that it's a philosophy, I think all spiritual traditions, including Buddhism, is a spiritual tradition that we follow and try to understand with our life. Now, today, when I was at Berkeley, it was fun because you're a temple junkie. You can go to many different temples in the area. There's over six different temples, and all of them have very own altars or onijins, is what it's called in Japanese. And have any of you been to the Berkeley Temple? Oh, wow, I'm surprised. Well, I know Dave he was there. But one of this is that when we look at the statue we have here, when we talk about Buddhism, we're referring to obviously the teachings of the Buddha, but we talk about it through the prism or the idea of what we understand in Pure Land Buddhism, which is Amida Buddha. So in our we have a statue of Amida Buddha. If you go to the Berkeley Temple, you'll look at the statue and it's quite different. So the statue in Berkeley was, many people might not know, was dedicated to people of Hiroshima over 60 years ago. I did a pilgrimage when I was the minister assistant there, where a bunch of people went to Japan, which where the statue came from. But when we looking at the statue, what is the symbolism that we have behind it? So we have that standing here. As you can see, the statue is standing on the mudra, or the gestures are wisdom and compassion. And I'd like to focus on the concept of compassion today, because for us, I think, this weekend has been so stressful with all the political that are going on and all the protests and everything. It's really hard for me to concentrate, and so I really do focus on the teams to help ground me. And so when I came in this morning and I was setting up the onijin, it's like looking at the statue, And it was very calming to me because the statue represents wisdom, spiritual wisdom, and compassion. But the word compassion in this sense is different than what we talk about in our everyday life. It's the same thing we talk about wisdom. We're talking about spiritual wisdom. It's not just intelligence, but compassion. We talk about it times. We say that person's compassionate, or we do compassionate deeds. But what does that mean? I think when we look, if we understand that we are in the path together, and we talk about the Sangha, when we take the three refuges, we're talking about a Buddhist community, but we're talking about a larger community, that we are all interconnected together, and that we try to deal with wisdom, with everyday situations, wisdom and compassion. However, the everyday compassion that we use is a very different form of compassion than what is referred to in the Buddhist teachings. So, for example, compassion would be that you have an interaction with somebody. Let's say somebody is on the street and is asking for money for food, or asking for food. So, say a compassionate response would be to give them something to eat, or to give them some monetary amount of money, and that is one form of compassion. But one of the things about the Buddhist teachings is that we talk about being self-reflective. What is the motivation that we have behind our acts? One of the things that the Buddha talked about is hollow acts, meaning that people do things because they think they look good, or think that it's give them a better image if they do something. But what's the motivation behind that? And indeed, the thing was with Buddhism and compassion. So Japanese he is the name for great compassion. And great compassion is a little different than our everyday understanding of compassion. For all of those people that have seen me hold these books up over the 2 years that I've been, we have all of the teachings of our founder, Ron Shonin, translated into English, which is amazing. We have that book, and we also have with that is a second book, study guide. This is called Volume 2. And I'm just putting a plug in. We're not, I think if we even have any of these, but get them. This is a great resource for people that need to understand Buddhism, because it does have glossary and an index talks about key concepts like Shinjin and compassion. And in here, he said in a very, very concise way what the idea of great compassion is. So it says that according to the Webster's Dictionary, compassion means that you bear with the suffering of another being. Now, that's an interesting point, because they're talking about being very dualistic. The idea is that I am emphasizing on empathy towards this person, but that person is separate than myself. And it says a understanding of misery and suffering, and a deep commitment to promote its stoppage, to alleviate the suffering. So they're talking about, and this is very practical, and I'm not criticizing it at all, but this is the everyday of compassion. What is the Buddhist form of passion? The Buddhist form talks about not being dualistic, and the dualistic form is here that so the basic idea is that the idea is love and sorrow in Sanskrit, and it is to show that we have an identity that the other is not another. In other words, that when we look at someone that's on the street, understand that that person may be physically different than us, but they're a larger community, larger gathering of humanity. And I'll give an example of this. I was at the Fresno Betsuin many years ago. That was my first assignment. A very large temple, over 600 members, large Dharma school. And the old temple was located in downtown Fresno, right where all the homeless population lives now. Actually, say they've moved to another location, which was controversial, because are we leaving Sara downtown? That was something that the Sangha debated. But we're downtown. High school, the junior YBA group wanted to go do a program to the homeless program and provide a lunch. So one of the things you have to realize is that from the people at the building, most of them were middle class. Their parents are professional doctors, and some of the kids are really well off financially. And so they're very uncomfortable going down to this park on which they would never go to. And then they had their T-shirts on, and it said Fresno Junior YBA and all this. And so we're in the parking lot, and said, Reverend Rye, why don't you talk about what the homeless is? Because you've worked, just to clarify that I did work with the homeless population in Seattle. I ran a transition housing program. And so I asked because I said, why do you think these people are homeless? And they said, well, they drink too much, they do drugs, or they're mentally ill. And so they had these ideas, and or they're just lazy. Kids had that idea that they're just lazy. And I'm not going to say that's not the reality. There is a lot of substance use, unfortunately, homeless population. But I said to the kids, I said, who would want to be homeless? And they thought about, and usually we talked about that there are these causes and conditions that these people have gone through to get to the point where they are homeless. And so I talked to the kids, we went back and forth, and I said, realize that when we're serving them food, you're not serving them. You're not doing something not nice. You are being compassionate because you realize you could be that person. I've known when I worked with this population, I had a person that was a model and got into a car crash and had a head injury and he ended up being homeless. She had everything perfect. She had a job. I recognized her from the local neighbor. And I thought, wow, just one fraction of a second, everything has changed. But getting back to this idea of compassion, so trying to have the idea that we're not separating ourselves from others, that the Buddha would talk about, we realize that we're all part of the larger world, a part of the larger humanity. And that when we're when we're doing this compassionate deed, it is not for us as an act, it is just an expression. So one of the things, getting back to the statue, which is beautiful, and a lot of people here, this might have your first exposure to a Buddhist statue like this, but the idea was that the historical Buddha and all the people know that need to have symbolic forms for us to understand these concepts. And today, for me, with the wisdom and compassion mudra, it just home. It's not abstract, and made me think about the compassion, about how we interact with each other, and the motivation behind that. Again, one of the things that the talked about is that, which is I think for Buddhist teachings, is that we try to be grounded in our understanding of how we interact with life through the Buddhist teaching. We try to become self-centered, because the idea is that Buddhism is not for me to keep. It's not, I've got Buddhism here and I'm going to share it. Everything that we talk about in the Buddha thought with the statue is that we learn from it, and then we're able to help others. And I think we've all experienced people that perhaps doing something they think is helpful, but it's actually probably counterproductive. I'll give a quick example. So the program that I ran in Seattle, with a federal program, it wasn't a federal employee, but it was a HUD program, and it worked with people that had been homeless. Most people that we served had been homeless for 5 or 10 years. We're talking chronic homelessness. And so what they would do is they would have workers go out and meet people where they are, get them comfortable, and then they would move into my program. And so there where we are with so there's 20 members that live there, and there's about 3 of us staff are there that are just making that everything runs really smoothly. And I was working as the clinical supervisor. And what that means is that when you're working in that type of work, you have to be aware of what's going on in yourself. So like we do with the Buddhist things, we try to be self-reflective. And so, I say, I had a hard time working with Ruth. I don't know, there's something about that lady. She drives me crazy. So the person would come to me and they say, Kurt, why? And so we talk. Well, what is about Ruth? It kind of reminds me of my auntie, and maybe that's the problem. Because you have to see clearly in order to really help them. And I think it's the same with the Buddhist teachings, is to try to understand how we can see life non-dualistically and all us that are connected and interconnectedness. So anyway, I had this one staff member who really thought that she was the counselor for this one client. And she'd go out and she would buy him cigarettes, which we won't get into the ethics of that, but buy him things, and she would spend more time with him. And she thought she knew a lot. And I said, And the funny thing is, working job, I was teaching them Buddhist ideals, but I didn't say it was Buddhist ideas. And I said, when you're not here, that person needs to be able to take care of themselves. Your job is not to give them or take care of them. Your job is to make them learn and to be independent. And so very Buddhist way, I said, okay, if you do give cigarettes, it's not from you, it's been donated. And I think she started to understand this connection. I am doing this for the person. I am the compassionate one. I'm giving compassion. No, is that you pull back and that everything is interconnected with compassion, and that is a form of expression. So just to finish up, one of the things, if you hear some of our Japanese borners and they have a take on the Buddhist teachings, they talk about how everything flows or come Amida Buddha. And I think what they're talking about is this universality, what I'm talking about, that the Dharma is always present, that we just need to be aware that it's around us, whether you want to say it's coming from Amida or where it exists in perpetuity, that the Dharma starts from the time that the Shakyamuni Buddha taught the first teachings. So today I hope that you'll think about this great compassion where you're not doing something someone else, it's just something that is expressed, that we happen to be a tool for that. And it makes it better to think of it as coming from Buddha. That's fine. This morning, I definitely, when I was dusting and cleaning, it was a very powerful message that I felt was coming through the teachings. So if you could please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Sensei, for the message. It was a great reminder, not just dictionary definition about the compassion, but the compassion itself or your life in your life. So thank you very much. Please stand if you're able. We will read Gatha 2, page 130. We will do Nembutsu on page 135. Please be seated. We will closing by Kyosei, right?
Please join me in Gacho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you much. If there is the first distance and comfortable to introduce yourself, please raise your hands. So we on regular. That's great. Thank you. Is there any announcement?
Hi, everyone. I just want to acknowledge the few folks that have let me know they're watching from line. We've got folks from Huntsville, Alabama, Ghent, New York. We know who that is. Houston, Texas, and Northport. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. You make it possible. The streaming, even though we had some technical difficulties this morning, we got through it much.
So on the 18th of every month, we do Asaji, which is a service that we chant the shoshi together as Sangha. And the 16th is going to be tomorrow, Monday. So I'll open temple at 11 o'clock, and you're more than welcome to come join me if you too, and we can Shoshin together and have some fellowship. Thank you.
The outlook provide from Frita. This is Amida Butsu. Based on the screen, you can see the entrance in the lobby, and this is the method you can use for any occasion. It's based on the sound when we chant Namamida Butsu repeatedly. It's become Namada 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 Namada. So it's written in one long sentence. If you're interested, I have samples and with me refreshment upstairs after this, and feel free to reach out via email.